Hi there, everybody. I'm new here. You probably haven't seen me before today. You can tell I'm getting more casual as I'm leaning on the podium. Welcome back. I hope you've all had a wonderful day. I know that I have. It is my honor to again be your Toastmaster and to introduce the contest chair for our international speech contest. So without any further talking from me, I will invite distinguished Toastmaster and contest chair Angela Rogers to the podium.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate that very much. Welcome to the International Speech Contest. I'm very excited to be here, and I hope that you are too. I think about this every year around contest time. Toastmasters all around the world in over, 200,000 clubs start having their club speech contests. And then they move on to their area speech contests. And then they move on to their division speech contests. And then they move on to their district speech contests. And so we're all moving forward together in this big wave. Everybody's strengthening their speeches and their speech presentations as they are tested through combat to the death. No, sorry. I didn't mean to imply there was any danger at all. There's no danger. My script says I'm supposed to have a gavel here.
I put it up there first thing this morning.
Shelf.
It's in the podium? Ah, there it is.
There we go.
Careful, I don't want to break it. Welcome to the International Speech Contest. I'm your contest chair. It is my honor and pleasure to host the contest. Please rise if you are able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. The Toastmasters International Organization mission is to empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. Speech contests are an important part of the Toastmasters educational program as they provide an opportunity for Toastmasters to learn by observing proficient speakers. Serving 270,000 members in 14,000 clubs in 150 countries, Toastmasters is truly where leaders are made. The contestants in this contest will deliver original speeches. They will remain in the room until called to the lectern. There will be a minute of silence between each speech, and our timers that are here in the front row will time that minute. We ask for everybody in the room to be silent during that minute. It is very important. The contestants have 5 to 7 minutes to deliver their speeches. As we begin the International Speech Contest, I ask that you please turn off all smartphones, tablets, or any device that could cause a distraction during the contest. The audience is to remain seated while the contestants are speaking. The doors will remain closed during the contest. If you must leave the room, please do so during that minute of silence and do so silently. You may re-enter the room before the next contestant begins their speech or after they have finished speaking. The taking of photographs during the contest is not permitted. There will be photo opportunities after the contest. I'm now going to read the order of speaking for the contestants. So if you're following along in your booklet and you want to write that down too, get ready. Contestant number 1, Michael Buzelli. Michael Buzelli is contestant number 1. Contestant number 2, Maureen Anderson. Maureen Anderson is contestant number 2. Contestant number 3 is Mario Rubino. Mario Rubino is contestant number 3. Contestant number 4 is Robert Humphreys. Robert Humphreys is contestant number 4. Contestant number 5 is Michelle Altman. Michelle Altman is contestant number 5. Josiah LaDuke is contestant number 6. Josiah LaDuke is contestant number 6. Contestant number 7 is Nana Han. Nana Han is contestant number 7. Contestant number 8 is David Jones. David Jones is contestant number 8. The contestants have been briefed. Mr. Chief Judge, have the contest officials been briefed?
Madam Contest Chair, the judges, the timers, and the counters have all been briefed. Well, let's have a contest.
Our first contestant is Michael Buzelli. How the fear of judgment poisons us. How the fear of judgment poisons us. Michael Buzelli.
Thank you, Madam Contest Chair.
You're welcome.
I am a coward. My whole life, I've lived with the fear of being judged by other people. It's not unusual. It's not paranoia to fear being judged by others. Some of you are judging me right now. Is that what he's wearing to a speech competition? Is that what his voice really sounds like? Why didn't he lose some weight? My whole life has lain heavy with the fear of the judgment of others. But I'm not alone. According to the National Institute on Mental Health, 7.1 U.S. citizens struggle with social anxiety disorder. That's 15 million people. Our fear of judgment poisons us because it holds us back. In my lifetime, I've only asked one person to dance. I was young, I was 20-something years old in a nightclub for the first time. The music was pumping, and a song came on. It was joyous, exuberant. And I screwed up the courage to ask someone to dance. And I got a yes. You think a yes would propel me to ask more and more people to the dance floor? It did not. Instead, I got more in my head, more afraid of the rejection each time, and stayed against the wall. Ironically, we danced to Somebody's Watching Me. That's the fear that somebody is watching me and deciding that I'm not smart enough, I'm not handsome enough, I'm not good enough. According to the National Institute on Mental Health, men and women suffer equally from social anxiety disorder, and it begins as early as the age of 14. Our fear of judgment poisons us because it assures failure. Negative thoughts create negative results. I love the beach. And one day in Santa Monica, California, on a blue, cloudless day, I walked down in that soft sand and plopped down and listened to the waves crash against the surf. And I thought, this is a good place for a nap. And I slung my arm over my eyes to block out the sun. And I guess two guys nearby thought I was already asleep, because I heard one say to the other, if I was that fat and hairy, I wouldn't go to the beach. And it worked. I didn't go to the beach for 2 years after that. I let two total strangers control how I was living my life. The National Institute on Mental Health claims that people with social anxiety disorder struggle more than 10 years before seeking treatment. 10 years. Our fear of judgment poisons us because it kills relationships. I was performing stand-up comedy. Now I know you're wondering, how can somebody with social anxiety disorder perform stand-up comedy? Well, when I'm on stage, it's like I'm wearing a mask. It's like I'm a different person. And I was up there, and the spotlight was on me, and I started telling jokes, and almost everyone was laughing. Almost everyone. There was one guy in the front row who was staring at me blankly, just looking up at me like that. And my mask started to crack. I started to lose my place. I started to stumble, forget where I was, forgot punchlines. I skipped paragraphs. But nobody knew what I was going to say, kind of like here. Nobody knows what I was going to say next, right? So I was able to get off stage, I thanked the audience, get out of there, and I was in the lobby with my friends, and that man was in the lobby. And I guess being with my friends, it gave me the courage to walk up to him. And I walked up to him and I said, "Excuse me, you came to a comedy show, you didn't laugh." And he said, "I wanted to laugh, but 2 years ago I had a stroke and I can't move this side of my face." I had made up a story in my head about how much he hated me, how much he hated my comedy. It was a false narrative. I created that in my mind. Our fear of judgment, whether it is real or imagined, both are equally dangerous. Our fear of judgment poisons us because it holds us back. Our fear of judgment poisons us because it assures failure. Our fear of judgment poisons us because it kills relationships. Learn from my example. I'm a coward. You don't have to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. 1 minute of silence, please. Contestant number 2, Maureen Anderson, Finding Hope. Finding Hope. Maureen Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Contest Chair.
You're welcome.
I've had the good fortune of learning from many wise women in my life, and one of them was Miss Lily. I met her 15 years ago when I moved into my house, and the dog from across the street chased my cat through 2 backyards and 30 feet up into an ancient oak tree. The tree was in Lily's backyard. After that, we became friends. I learned that she was born in Budapest, Hungary, had recently become a widow, and was a Holocaust survivor. Once, when I was having tea with Miss Lily, she was telling me how beautiful she thought my daughter looked in her prom gown of blue-gray taffeta. Then she got a far-off look in her eyes and said, "I remember wearing a dress with a sash that color when I was a young girl in a wedding. So beautiful. They are all gone." Then she snapped back into the present and looked at me and said, "When life is too much to bear, you must focus on the small joys, the people you love, the beauty of nature, kindness. You celebrate everything, every birth, every marriage, every holiday, every season. For when you do, you become anchored in tradition and create hope." Then she went into her story. As things were becoming more and more tense in Europe because Hitler was expanding his reign of terror beyond the boundaries of Germany, Miss Lily's parents decided to send their little blonde-haired daughter far out of the capital city and into the countryside to live with her uncle and his wife, who was Christian. She would be hidden in plain sight with the family on the farm. It was her parents' hope she would have a chance to live. Lily said goodbye to her parents, never to see them again. Lily appreciated the grave danger her aunt's family was in, safeguarding her and her uncle. Still, she missed her parents every day and lived in fear that they would be discovered and the family would be put to death. Over time, Lily decided to focus on a more positive perspective, one of gratitude and hope. Time passed. Lily finished school and took a job as a secretary in a nearby factory. She laughed when she told the story because she said she could not type and she never could get the hang of that typewriter. Still, she was very professional and spoke 3 languages, Hungarian, French, and German. The workers in the factory were enslaved people of Jewish descent. Lily shared their heritage, though not their circumstances. Because of this, she made it a point to show them every kindness whenever possible. Still, she lived in fear each day her truth would be discovered and she and her family would be put to death. Then, one day, it happened. With a new group of workers, there was a father and a son, and Lily could see the glimmer of recognition in their eyes. Lily had gone to school back in Budapest with the son. She was consumed by fear, and when she went home that night and told the family, that fear spread. Can you even imagine? They waited days, weeks, months. In the end, the father and son did not betray them, and Lily rekindled her friendship with the son through brief conversations and little notes. Rumors started circulating that the war was coming to a close. They got word at the factory all of their workers would be taken to the nearest death camp. Lily was beside herself. She knew all of these people had come to care about them. She wanted to save them all. She discussed it with her family, and though they were very empathetic, understood there was no way to save everyone. They made a plan. They would try to save 2 people, the father and the son, by having them hide in an unused part of the factory until after the transport left, and then move them to the farm. Lily met them at the rendezvous point. The father informed them he would not be staying. It was too great of a risk. There was a higher likelihood the guards would notice if 2 people were missing. He would leave with the rest of the workers knowing his son was alive and had hope for the future. They said their goodbyes. The son hid. The transport left. And those individuals were never seen again. Lily survived. And so did her friend. They fell in love. They got married. They came to America. They had a son and 2 grandchildren. Miss Lily taught me to never, ever doubt the power of hope. Small acts of kindness, resistance, our choices make a lasting impact into the future. For those who have been made to be seen as other or less, confined or constricted physically, emotionally, intellectually, or spiritually, hope is a means of survival. Throughout time, people, average, everyday people all around this planet have demonstrated hope is an act of bravery. Hope is a show of faith. When times become challenging or overwhelming, my daughters and I remember Miss Lily and embrace hope. For when we are hopeful, we shine the light into the darkness for each other, envision a brighter future, and we prevail. We invite you to embrace hope. Be that light. Take care of each other, for humanity is precious. Thank you, everyone.
1 minute of silence, please. Contestant number 3, Mario Rubino. Are you afraid? Are you afraid? Mario Rubino.
Thank you, Contest Chair.
You're welcome.
Who was your best coach ever? Think about your career, your family, sports, or Toastmasters. Who was the one that always pushed you to be your best, lit a fire under you when you got complacent, and never allowed you to quit, no matter how much you wanted to? No doubt your coach has had a lasting impact on you. I know mine has. And I've been lucky enough to be with my coach for my entire life. Do you know who my coach is? My coach's name is fear. Are you afraid on a daily basis? I hope so. And in this talk, we're going to explore why. Why is that important? Fear is not your monster. Fear is your coach. Throughout my life, I've always had fear in my corner, pushing me to do more and more. In my early 20s, I was often described as quiet. I wasn't naturally a good communicator, and I had no interest in learning the skills. But fear Fear saw the deficiency in me and turned up the pain until I had no choice but to focus on it. It was my sophomore year of college, and part of one of the first classes of the year was going around the room and giving introductions. You had to say your name, your major, and a fun fact about you. That sounds easy enough, right? Well, for me it wasn't so easy, because fear showed up. And all of a sudden, my heart started to beat faster and faster. My chest started to get tighter and tighter. I started to sweat. I started to shake. My thoughts in my head I couldn't put together. I thought I couldn't even remember my own name. And as it was getting closer and closer to my turn, these feelings were getting more and more intense. 3 people away from my turn, fear was there, this time at an 80% intensity level. 2 people away from my turn, fear was there again, this time at a 90% intensity level. 1 person away from my turn, fear was there again, this time at a 99% intensity level, unbearable. So you know what I did? I left the room. I got out of there. There was no introduction for me that day. Not only that, but I dropped the class. In fact, I didn't only drop that class, I dropped every class that semester that even had the smallest chance of a public speaking opportunity. After that experience, I thought, maybe this communication skills thing is something that I should look more into. And I did. Thanks to the help of my coach, Coach Fear, I joined my first Toastmasters Club in 2018. And wow, what a difference. Learning skills and practice, 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 practice. Fear is not your monster. Fear is your coach. I read every public speaking book I could get my hands on. I went to Toastmasters religiously and gradually took on more and more speaking roles. I picked up all those classes I dropped the previous semester and even picked up a public speaking class. And fear was with me every step of the way, reminding me that I was never finished. Why can fear be so effective as an internal motivator? Psychologists call it arousal reappraisal. And what that means is, rather than viewing fear as a threat, you view fear as a challenge. Consider this. You have a performer backstage waiting in the wings. They go in 5 minutes. When all of a sudden, their heart starts to beat faster and faster. They tell themselves, oh, my heart's beating so fast. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can go on. Now, consider this. You have another performer, same situation. Backstage in the wings, they go in 5 minutes, right? When all of a sudden, their heart starts to beat faster and faster. Only this performer tells themselves, all right, 5 minutes. Let's do this. This is going to be a great show. What's the difference between those 2 performers? The difference is their response to the fear. Think about how you feel when you're in a state of fear. Your heart starts to beat faster and faster, your chest starts to get tighter and tighter, you start to sweat, you start to shake. All those feelings is excess energy. And you can use that energy to be terrified, or you can use that energy to be excited. Use that energy to be excited. Now, what about you? What do you fear the most? What causes you to have the most uncertainty or doubt in your life? Is it being alone? Is it becoming sick? Is it not having enough money? Is it public speaking? Whatever it is, use fear as an asset, not a liability. Use fear to push you forward rather than holding you back. I ask you one more time. Are you afraid on a daily basis? If so, good. Run towards your fear. If not, what are you waiting for? Go out and do something that scares you. Fear is not your monster. Fear is your coach. And with the best coach of all time in your corner, there's no telling what you can do. Contest chair.
One minute of silence, please. Taking time. Contestant number 4, Robert Humphreys. I'd like to be a pebble in your shoe. I'd like to be a pebble in your shoe, Robert Humphreys.
Thank you, Madam Contest Chair.
You're welcome.
What would you do if someone were to say to you, I want to be a pebble in your shoe, and I want you to be a pebble in my shoe, too? What would you do? Some of you are thinking, what is this guy talking about? Would you like me to explain? Yes. Think of it this way. What if your shoes were the journey that you took through life? When you put on your shoes in the morning, your shoes are the journey you're taking through life, and the pebble is what you get when you go the wrong way. And the longer you go that direction without stopping, the more pebbles you get, the bigger they get, and the more they hurt. Let me tell you a story. 51 years ago, when I was 19 years old, I had a good job, I made great money, and life was one big party! Because in 19, I knew everything. Ever meet anybody like that? All I had to do to meet that person at that time was look in the mirror. But I never did. Until one week when things began to change, and I found a whole sack of pebbles in my shoes, and they kept getting more and more and bigger. Till one week, on the first day, someone borrowed my car and damaged it. No big deal, I can fix it. But on the second day, someone broke into my apartment and took everything that was precious to me. It was all gone when I got home. On the third day, somebody cleared out my bank account and wrote checks all over town, destroying my financial reputation. Just 3 days. I was shocked, and then I was angry, and then I was furious, and then rage. But on the fourth day, somebody shot my dog, my puppy. And that rage turned into a broken heart. And that's when I found out that the person behind all of this and everything I lost was supposed to be my friend, somebody I trusted. And I had only one question, and you know what it would be. If you talked to that friend, what would you ask? Why? Why? And I was standing with him, and I was just about to ask that question when my father showed up. And if you know what a father's like, he had that look in his eyes, somebody's gonna die. And he was looking at my friend, and I'm going, wait a minute. This guy, my friend, has got a buck knife, a 10-inch buck knife in his boot, and he'll use it. And I stepped down, and I stood between my father, actually he was my father, and my friend. And I said, Dad, I can handle this. You got to go. Now, if you know my dad back then, he did not take orders from anybody. That was the wrong thing to say. But he looked at me, looked at my friend, and his eyes went from anger to confusion to hurt. I knew what he was thinking, but I had to say it, Dad. You can do whatever you want, but I want you to go. And he said, if you send me away, I'm no longer your father. And I said, then that's what you're going to have to do. And he left. And he got on a plane, and he flew 1,000 miles back home and didn't take any of my phone calls. So there I was, brokenhearted, alone, and I was done. That was it. I was looking for the way out, and you know the way out I'm talking about. Some of you may have thought about that yourselves. And then I met my last pebble. But it wasn't a pebble of pain, it was a pebble of love, and his name was Fred. Total stranger. He listened to my story, and I told it, and then he paused, and he thought, and he said, Robert, did it ever occur to you that somebody's trying to get your attention? And after a moment and many tears, he said, are you ready to listen? And I said, yes. Do you know anybody who hasn't been listening? Has somebody been trying to talk to you? Let me be the pebble in your shoe. Or someone else, a loved one, and they're going through a really, really, really tough time. Maybe it's time you pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I'm going to be a pebble of love in your shoe. And I want you to be a pebble of love in my shoe too. And when they don't understand, that's your opportunity to ask the question, would you like me to explain? Madam Chairperson.
One minute of silence, please. Thank you, Tyler. Contestant number 5, Michelle Altman. If you see something, say something. If you see something, say something. Michelle Altman.
Thank you, Madam Contest Chair.
You're welcome.
If you see something, say something. Today, I am seeing rising levels of intolerance and hate. Right here, I will say something about it. This expression was popularized after 9/11, but for me, it goes way back. It is an integral part of my being because of my mother's survival story and the lessons that I learned from her. My mother, Ruth Erna Liechtenstein, was born in 1927 in eastern Germany near the Polish border. When she was 11 years old, on November 10th, 1938, she woke up as if it was any other morning. She got dressed, she headed out the door to school. When she got to the town square, she froze. To the left, all the windows of the Jewish businesses were smashed and the glass was strewn across the square. To the right, the synagogue was burning. An old man got up from the steps and yelled, "Go home, you are not safe, go home." She turned and ran back to her apartment and into the arms of her mother. She looked up into her mother's face and she saw a look she hadn't seen for 7 years when her father had died that long ago when she was 4. Her mother said, "All this broken glass, burning of synagogues, the place where Jews worship, we are not safe here anymore. We need to leave." And try as she might, she could not find a way out. But she did hear of something called the Kinder Transport, children transport. England had passed legislation which permitted children ages 4 to 17 years old to travel from Germany, Austria, Czechoslovakia, unaccompanied, no parents, to safety in England during this conflict. Her mother looked into her heart and made the so difficult decision that this was the only way that she could save her child. She did the needed paperwork and they got a ticket. On June 5th, 1939, they traveled to Berlin, and Ruth boarded the train. She looked out the window as the train pulled away, and her mother got smaller and smaller and smaller. She did not know at the time that she would never see her again because she perished in the Holocaust. What she did become aware of was right next to her, a little girl not more than 4 years old was crying her eyes out. She reached for her, held her in her arms, and they comforted each other all the way to the Dutch border. In Holland, Quaker women who were helping with this transport got on the train with chocolate. Ruth smelled it and tasted it and had a moment of comfort. Then the women transferred all the children to a ferry which took them to Harwich, England, and a train took them down to the Liverpool station in London. There, the foster parents found the children by virtue of an identification badge that they wore around their neck. Mrs. Livingston took Ruth home. She learned the language and was gradually adjusting when, at 3 months, they went on vacation. It was September 1939, and Germany invaded Poland. Mrs. Livingston was so concerned that bombs would soon be dropping in England that she couldn't take her back home and said, "Is anyone here able to take care of this girl?" Without checking, without anything, she went with Mrs. Willis. That placement and 2 or 3 others did not work out well until Ruth was placed in a boarding school that 2 German Jewish immigrant women had founded for the refugee children. There she found her voice, her comfort, and she finished high school and went into nursing school. While she was in nursing school, her father's sister, her aunt, was in New York. She had escaped from Germany via Mozambique, Africa, and she was at a party in New York. And behind her, some youngsters were saying, "Ruth this, Ruth this." And she turned around and said, "I have a niece named Ruth. Who are you talking about?" It was her niece. She put the paperwork through, and Ruth was able to travel to the United States after she graduated. She boarded the boat 10 years after she had gotten to England. In New York, I can see her going down the gangplank, holding her suitcase, her eyes straight ahead, ready to take on anything that would come her way, given everything she had lived through the past 10 years. Every time I tell my mother's story, I feel her strength and resilience. To fight the rising levels of intolerance and hate that are present today, I tell her story. Next time you see something that is of concern to you, remember Ruth's story and say something to right the injustice you are seeing. Contest chair.
One minute of silence, please. Thank you, James. Contestant number 6, Josiah LaDuke. What does not kill me? What does not kill me? Josiah LaDuke.
Thank you, Madam Contest Chair.
You're welcome.
What does not kill me makes me stronger. What does not kill me makes me stronger. Who wrote these words? Was it Kelly Clarkson? Was it Kanye West? Well, yes, but also no. The original quote is attributed to a 19th century German philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche. Its basic premise is this: whatever struggles I go through in my life, which I inevitably will, if they do not end my life, will make me stronger because I endured them. About a year ago now, I started my own handyman service. And one of the very first jobs I did was the dreaded exterior carpet. Now, at first, I was extremely excited. It was in a very convenient location for me. The customer was extremely friendly, and it was only scheduled for about a week. 2 weeks later, I knew that I had messed up big time. The first time I laid down this carpet, and yes, you heard me correctly, the first time I laid it down, I stepped on it too soon after laying it down, resulting in the glue welling up everywhere I stepped, staining the entire thing, ruining it. Right there and then, I decided, you know what, I'm going to man up. I'm going to go to Home Depot tomorrow. I'm going to get brand new carpet. I'm going to show up. I'm going to rip this thing out. I'm going to start all over again. So that's exactly what I did. And 14 hours later or so, at nighttime, I'm looking down at my second iteration, my perfect work, right? And I realize I messed up the underlayment, resulting in these crazy bubbles and waves throughout the entire thing, making it look like an ocean. I stared at it, walked away, came back, stared at it some more. But no matter how much I looked at this thing, it still remained the same. At this point, I'm freaking out. It's 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night. The customer's waiting for me to knock on her door at any moment and say, hey, I'm all done. I am maxed out on my budget, and I'm about 5 or 6 days into a job that was supposed to take me 3 or 4. I have no idea what to do. It's at that moment, I decide I'm going to call a friend. So I phone up my friend and mentor, Mike, and I say, hey man, things aren't going so well for me over here in Beaver County. I messed up big time. I think that I should just scratch this entire project. I should rip this thing up, give this woman her money back, and go work at Home Depot. I'm not cut out for this. Mike takes a second, and then he says, you're not going to do any of that, man. You're too good of a person to leave this customer with an unfinished product. I've been exactly where you are right now, but because I persevered and I made it to the other side, not only did I become a better contractor for it, I became a better person. I said, wow, where have I heard those words before? And I realized that I had read that same exact message in a different form many years ago from a philosopher that I loved very, very much. That which does not kill me makes me stronger. Now, I knew Mike had never read Friedrich Nietzsche, but I knew that they were saying the same thing. So I took a deep breath. All right, Mike, tell me what to do. He said, you're going to go to that customer, you're going to tell her what's going on, you're going to show up tomorrow, and you're going to do this all over again. You're going to rip this thing up, you're going to fix that underlayment, and you're going to show her a good product, and you're going to get paid, and you're going to walk away with your head held high. I said, all right. So about 2 or 3 days later of glorious work, I finally managed to get it done. I finally got it looking pristine. But the true test for any contractor is the homeowner. I swear, when she came out to look at this final product, my heart was beating a million miles a minute. Please say it's okay. Please say it's okay. But when she looked at it, looked up at me and smiled and said, looks good. I swear, I could have kissed her in that moment. I was so happy. After about 2 grueling weeks of work at a job which should have taken me about 4 or 5 days, I finally was able to pack all my stuff up and get out of there. Fast forward to today, over a year from now. What is it that I've derived from that message by Friedrich Nietzsche, the words of my friend and mentor Mike,
and those experiences I went through? The answer is that nowadays, whenever I'm going through some kind of difficulty in my life, whether it's personal, professional, no matter what it is, I'm able to look back at that exterior carpet job and say, you know what? If I could make it through that, I can definitely make it through this. And if I could just make it to the other side, whatever it is that I'm going through, I might like the person I've become. I want each and every one of you to think of a moment in your life in which you struggled, which, since we're all human beings, every single one of you can think of an exact moment right now. If I had to bet money, I would say that that time probably wasn't very pleasant for you. It might have been so bad that it almost broke you. But because you're sitting here today, I would also bet money that you didn't give up, that you persevered, and you made it to the other side. And because I'm a betting man, I would also bet money that because you did all those things, you're able to look back on that. You're able to say, you know what? I became a stronger person because of that. Not in spite of what I went through, but because of what I went through. And this is the point of my speech, and this is the message behind Friedrich Nietzsche's philosophy, this quote, my mentor Mike's words, and the words that I've given to you guys today. It's just to think about your own life and the inevitable struggles that each of us go through. And rather than to look at them as something to shy away from or avoid or even lament, rather to accept them as a necessary challenge, a means by which to improve as an individual. Every single time that I've taken on that maxim in my life, I've seen vast improvements in my personal life, professional, relationships, character, all of it. And that's why I believe Friedrich Nietzsche when he said, that which does not kill me makes me stronger. Madam Contest Chair.
One minute of silence, please. Thank you, Thomas. Contestant number 7, Nana Hong, 3 smiles. 3 smiles, Nana Hong. You're welcome.
At the hospital, the doctor shook his head. Call the family. Tell them to prepare the funeral. This poor woman had just given birth to a baby girl at home, delivered by a midwife because her family couldn't afford the hospital. But something went wrong. She was in pain. Then she couldn't stop bleeding. She was rushed to the hospital. But it was too late. So the grandmother took the baby to see her mom one last time. Barely able to speak, the mother whispered, "Smile for me." And miraculously, the baby smiled once, then second, then a third time. 3 smiles, and something changed. Her mother found the strength and recovered. that moment, her mother believed her baby's 3 smiles had magical powers. And that baby was me. I have been called the 3 Smiles girl ever since. You probably think with the magical powers like that, I grew up like a little goddess, right? Loved, celebrated, maybe even floated around on a cloud. Well, not exactly. Not when you grew up in a culture that preferred boys over girls. Growing up, I didn't really feel special. My boy cousins got all the love, attention, and the toys. And I felt invisible. One day, my uncle came home from a trip with a gift for us children. Brand new backpacks. They were colorful, shining, full of zippers and secret pockets. And we were so excited to get one. One by one, he handed out backpacks to all the boys. I waited. Nothing. Where's my backpack? I felt worthless. That moment, I wasn't the magical 3 Smiles girl. I was just forgotten among the boys. But my mom didn't forget. She took me out, bought me a beautiful backpack, and she handed it over to me. She said, "Nana, you are the 3 Smiles girl. You saved my life. Just believe in the 3 smiles." And from that moment, I did. And also because my backpack was pink, my favorite color. That belief carried me through life. In our village, girls didn't have opportunities. But I was different because I was the 3 Smiles girl. So while others played, I studied. And I became the only girl in our entire village to go to college that year. I was proud. I had escaped the limit placed on me as a girl. The 3 Smiles had given me strength. One day, I met an old classmate. I was so excited to see her. "Hi, how's life?" She was so sad. She said, "I work at a local factory. My parents arranged a marriage for me. I was set to have children. My life is already decided. Just because I'm a girl." That moment hit me hard. That could have been me. But I was different because I was 3 Smiles girl. I had the 3 smiles and my mom's belief in me. Without that, that would have been my position. And that's why the 3 smiles matter. They remind me, no matter what challenges come to my way, I am strong and I am worthy. So now, I ask you, who has been your 3 smiles? Who has lifted you up, believed in you, reminded you again and again, like my mother did for me? And more importantly, how can you be the 3 smiles for someone else? Today, I invite you, believe in the power of 3 smiles. Believe in the magic they can bring. Because when you share a smile, you might just change your life. And hey, who knows? Maybe they will even get you a backpack. Welcome to the world of 3 smiles.
One minute of silence, please. Thank you, Tony.
Hold your mouth.
Contestant number 8, David Jones. Isn't she beautiful? Isn't she beautiful? David Jones. You're welcome.
Isn't she beautiful? This is my little girl. When she was 5 years old, I thought she was beautiful. I thought she was the most beautiful girl in the whole world. And as her dad, I was going to teach her those lessons that she needed to learn about acceptance, kindness, and respect. How was we going to do that? My daughter had an idea. She said, "Daddy, we're going to play Barbies. You be this one." Her name's Miranda. Okay? My daughter learned by speaking the words of the characters in her life, by teaching about acceptance to me, her dad. But I was supposed to be teaching her, right? It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes the lessons that we want to teach are taught to us. I learned that from Keely, my daughter, when she was in preschool. I had the privilege of getting to walk her to preschool every day. And we would go hand in hand, her little hand clutched in mine, and we would stroll up the street, and we would talk about the things we saw, and it was a magical experience. We walked past a house that was on our way, and there was an older man who was on the porch every morning and every afternoon when we went by. He was a man of color. I would say he was probably 75, maybe 80. And every morning as we went by, we waved, and he would wave back at us. And one day as we walked nearby, Keely tugged on my sleeve and said, "Daddy, what's his name?" "I don't know. Let's find out." "Excuse me, sir. I realize we don't know your name. I'm Dave, and this is my daughter, Keely." And he said, "It's a pleasure to meet you."
The name's Phillips, Mr. Phillips. And you'll be Mr. Dave. And you, young lady, you'll be Miss Keeley. Keeley giggled, because nobody ever called her Miss Keeley before. But she looked forward to seeing him every day. Keeley's granddads had passed away before she was born. Mr. Phillips was the closest to a grandfather she had known. As we got close on our walk, she would stand on her tippy toes trying to see if she could see him first. And she loved when we came home from school and she could tell him about what she learned. Mr. Phillips, today I learned about numbers. And today I learned about shapes. He said, it's good that you were taught those lessons. As the days passed and the days got colder, Mr. Phillips was still on the porch. I wondered, when does it get too cold for him? And then it happened. It was in December. Mr. Phillips wasn't on the porch. And as we came close to the house, Keeley said, Daddy, where's Mr. Phillips? And I said, well, sweetheart, it's very cold. It's December. Mr. Phillips is probably inside, staying warm. Oh, okay, Daddy. But that afternoon, Mr. Phillips still wasn't on the porch. And Keeley said, Daddy, where's Mr. Phillips? Well, sweetie, he's probably got some errands to run. I'm sure he's okay. The next morning, Mr. Phillips was not on the porch. And that afternoon, he was not on the porch. And I made excuses about why Mr. Phillips wasn't on the porch. But Miss Keeley wasn't having it. She tugged on my sleeve again and said, Daddy, we have to check on him. I had a knot in my stomach. We climbed the steps onto the porch, and we went to the door, and I knocked, hoping against hope. I peered through the window of the door. Inside the room, I saw Mr. Phillips rise from a chair. He shuffled to the door, and he opened the door, and it creaked a little bit, and he said, you came to check on me. Keeley said, of course we did. We care about you. He said, you wait right there, young lady. I have something for you. He went to his Christmas tree, and he pulled out a present. Here, this is for you. Like any little girl, Keeley ripped through the package. And then she just stared for a few moments. And Keeley said, Daddy, look! Isn't she beautiful? I looked at Mr. Phillips, and he gave me that knowing wink. And he said, Mr. Dave, some lessons are caught, they're not taught. Somewhere there's a child that's watching you. What are they catching from you? What are they learning from you? Are they learning about kindness? Are they learning about acceptance? Are they learning about respect? Will they stop someday and say, isn't she beautiful? Madam Contest Chair.
Silence, please, to allow our judges to complete their ballots. Thank you. Let's have another round of applause for all of our contestants. Oh, wait, we're not ready yet. Haven't all the ballots been collected? So we get one last one. Okay. Have all the ballots been collected at this time?
Hold on a minute.
Judge, hold it on.
Everybody has to see this.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for participating in the contest. All right. I am going to invite our contestants in alphabetical order to join me at the lectern to receive their participation certificate and to tell us a little more about themselves. So we will begin with Mark Anderson. are you representing, and how long have you been in Toastmasters?
I am welcome. Thank you. I'm a little discombobulated, no doubt. I am representing the Gwen's Girls Club. We are a corporate club, and we have been around for about 9 months.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, seeing some information about your interests and hobbies prompts me to ask you a little bit more about your sewing arts and crafts. Can you tell me a little bit about what you are sewing or crafting?
I recently got back in. You know how life kind of takes over for a while and you get so busy doing the mundane things like going to work or the laundry, and you forget about the things you love for a little bit. But I've gotten back into some of those things, including some painting and some sewing. Most recently, we had a session with the girls in Clariton called Fashioneering. It's a sideways way into STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. You just don't tell them about that stuff. You make it fun.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks so much for joining us today. Our next contestant is Michael Buzelli. Certificate. Tell us, Michael, what club are you representing and how long have you been a Toastmaster?
Bakery Squares Toastmasters. And I joined during COVID, so 5 years. I was like virtual.
All right, awesome. I would like to know more about this accomplishment you mentioned, Moth Grand Slam winner. What is that?
Well, the Moth used to be a storytelling event here in Pittsburgh. It was sponsored by the radio station, WQE radio station affiliate. My friend Alan Olafson ran the event, and it was a storytelling event, and people told 7-minute stories, much like we do here, and they could be on any subject, much like they are here. And and then they would have a monthly, you'd have a monthly meeting, competition. Yeah, monthly. Yes, that's it. Monthly competition. And from the monthly competition, the winners all got together, and there was a final Grand Slam at the New Hazlet. And yeah, so I did that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for competing today. So next, let's meet Nana Hong. Thank you for competing today. Tell us about your club and how long you've been in Toastmasters.
Soft skills.
Okay, and it says here that you like to travel. Tell me about the most recent interesting place you've traveled to.
Yeah, we actually just came back from Greece. Yeah, we had a road trip. We took 2 weeks. We first at Athens, and we wanted to see all those Acropolis, ancient ruins. And then we went on to see the Delphi, then came all the way to the Olympia, then came back. It was the best trip ever.
Oh, I think you want to go. Thank you for being today. Our next contestant is Robert Humphreys. Thank you for competing today, Robert. Tell us about what club you belong to and how long you've been a Toastmaster.
Ernebert's Toastmasters 255, 33 years ago this month.
I'd like to hear a little bit more about your hobby of sailing. Where do you like to sail?
There's not a lot of places. I'm up in Butler County, and people from Pittsburgh in the south actually come up there. I've got a buddy who sails who lives down here. Come up to Lake Arthur, Marine State Park, to go sailing. Got a beautiful boat up there.
And they say if you can learn to sail on the lake, you can learn to sail anywhere. Because the wind changes directions every time you think you know where you're going. It's a lot of fun, but it's a bit of a challenge.
Well, thank you for competing today. I know you get to sail with me. Our next contestant is David Jones. David, tell us about the club you represent and how long you've been a Toastmaster.
Sure. I'm in the Johnstown Toastmasters. Those of you familiar with Johnstown, a lot of flooding there. We're good builders, we're just not good dam builders. I've been in Toastmasters since 2007.
I'd like to hear more about your baking interest. What's your most recent baking project?
I do bake a lot. I have been involved in an event called Cookie College for 4 years now. It's held here in Pittsburgh. It's a fundraiser for a historical society. This year it'll be in 2025, it'll be held next month in the South Hills, Canonsburg area. There'll be 1,600 people coming through, and I'll get the honor and privilege of teaching them how to make very intricate cookies. They're called Springerly cookies. These are 3D cookies, and then I teach them not only how to make them, but then how to decorate them. And they turn out to be extraordinarily decorative cookies. I've actually won a contest for it. Those of you who may know the magazine Taste of Home, back in 2003, 4, I was selected as the national champion for the holiday cookie contest.
Today. So many interesting things about people you just don't know until you ask them, and you have this contestant profile to guide you. Let's hear now from Josiah LaDuke. Thanks for participating in our contest today.
Thank you.
Tell us about the club you belong to and how long you've been a Toastmaster.
So I am from Cranberry Area Toastmasters, number 9843. And I have been a member since about April of 2021. It's been 4 years now.
Awesome. You say here that you got second place in a National Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Championship in 2024. Tell us how you got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Well, first of all, that's a bit of a lie, because that was not in adults, that was just in the masters brackets. That's 30 to 35-year-olds. So before everybody thinks I'm a crazy champion, it's just with the old guys. So that's all. Yeah.
So you're a qualified champion.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yeah, I've been a member of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've been practicing the martial art for about 3 years now, and I love it just about as much as I love Toastmasters. It's a real big part of my life. It's a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Thanks for coming today. Next, let's meet Mario Rubino. Thank you for competing today. Tell us about the club you belong to and how long you have been in Toastmasters.
I'm in 2 clubs. My first one is Cranberry High Noon, and the second one is ESL. I've been in Toastmasters for about 8 years now. I joined in college. I went to Penn State, and the club I joined was the Penn State Pingers.
Let's hear a little bit about your hobby of marathon running. What was the most recent marathon you've run in?
That's a good question. I've actually never run a marathon, but I signed up for the Pittsburgh Marathon, which is next week. I signed up this year. It was kind of on a whim. The most I ever ran before that was 5 miles. So I started training, and I started running longer and longer, and I found out the more you run, it's more mental than physical, because once you get past, for me it's 10 miles, every step you take, you're telling yourself to stop. But you gotta keep it going up here and just keep plowing forward. So the pain, physical pain stays the same after 10 miles if you want to run that far.
So are you going to be running in the Pittsburgh Marathon then?
Yeah. So next Sunday is the Pittsburgh Marathon, and I'll be running that.
All right, well, good luck in that race, and thanks for competing today. And finally, Michelle Altman. Thanks for competing today. Tell us about the club you belong to and how long you've been a Toastmaster.
Women to Women is my club. I've been a Toastmaster for about 4 years, and I nod my head to Bakery Square where they accept me as a business.
You are also a traveler. Can you tell us about a recent trip you've taken?
Absolutely. Last May, I had a chance to celebrate the 80th anniversary of my mother's landing in Harwich, England. I retraced her steps. I went to her boarding school. I went to the archives in London and saw what would be called her social work sheet. Started off being handwritten and ended up being typed. That's where I got the address for this boarding school, and I traveled there. And one small story, if I might. Research continues to evolve. So just a few months ago, a researcher is doing some research at Yad Vashem, which is the Honorable Museum in Israel. And she was researching something else and went into her file, and out came kinder transport lists that had been lost for 80 years. She is one of the most approachable academics I had ever met, and I emailed her, and the next morning the list of my mother's train is in my mailbox. She was number 258 on the train, and number 259 was a 4-year-old girl. I'd like to name her here. Her name was Hannah.
That brings us to the end of our contestant interviews for today's International Speech Contest. And all that we are waiting for is the results, which our program quality director will be announcing. But let's give our contestants one more round of applause. Always inspired. Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
No, I don't mind. I don't want them to be uncomfortable. So I do my best to make sure that they're not. Because sometimes making sure I don't want anyone to feel more nervous because
What's your certificate?
Hello, Toastmasters! Hello! Hi! Mic check.
It's on.
Is it green?
Press it once.
Now it's green.
Good.
All right, fellow Toastmasters, we have the results. I am pleased to announce that the Chief Judge has informed me that there were no disqualifications. We will announce the winner, starting with third place. As your name is announced, please come up to the front to get your certificate, your trophy, and shake the hand of our Program Quality Director. In third place, Robert Humphrey. Stay here, stay here. In second place, Josiah Ledoux. All right, is everybody ready to hear who the first place winner is? All right, and the first place winner of the District 13 International Speech Contest is David Jones! Great job.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you.